Oh, Aaron, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Changing my virtual background. Got to represent.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that's good. And I see it Shona Newton. I'm not sure if that's just a first person popped in, or if that is someone in your office, or if that could possibly be Dave.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not sure.
Not sure.
Not
Okay.
in not in my office.
Yeah. Shona, I don't know if you're there or if you can hear us. If you're in the right room, but you can let us know either way. That'd be great. So I think Amber, I would say Dave will pop in probably momentarily, and if he'll want access to share his screen
Yeah.
at some point, so you can do that, and then I think you'll still have the ability, hopefully, to mute all, and then if anybody unmutes themselves unnecessarily and there's some background noise, I think they'll pop to the forefront of the screen with the yellow box, so we can hopefully pick them up pretty quickly. I think the intention is I'll welcome everybody. I'll thank New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland for working together on this to make it a great thing, and thank everybody for joining us. And also, I'll introduce Dave briefly. I've got some of his credentials, and maybe just let people know that we will have an opportunity for Q&A at the end. So if people have questions, write them down, put them in the chat box. We will have opportunity to address those after.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And it's already
So
recording. I'm just going to leave it recording now. I'll just chop off the beginning of it later.
Perfect. Yeah, that way better to do that than potentially forget.
Then forget to record it.
Yeah, again. I've been there before. Yeah, so I'm sure we'll get a few people starting to pop in here one at a time, which should be great. Do you have it set up so that you get the waiting room and you've got to admit them?
No, I turned the waiting room off so we didn't have to click admit.
How do you turn it off? I thought you had to have waiting room or a password.
You need a password, but the password is included in the link.
Gotcha.
So I always choose that option.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So.
Yeah, the end part of the link, if you have a password, is the password, so no one needs to type it in unless they're joining from their phone or something.
Okay. Yeah. How's everything going up there? Are you guys planning to transmit today, or?
Yeah.
We just got ours done a few minutes ago, so
awesome.
That was good. Yep.
Yeah. We don't want to come in on Monday, so.
No, I don't blame you. Yeah. Still crazy up there, I guess.
Oh my God, it's insane.
Yeah, I talk to Andrew probably at least weekly, and some of the stuff it's just crazy. I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
See how long it lasts. Can't last forever like that.
I know. Hopefully it doesn't last forever. No one will ever be able to afford to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was chat in our Facebook group the other day about a house going for 300,000 over.
Crazy. Yeah. I don't even know how that would get financed or appraised, but it's not our problem to worry about.
Unless it was listed way under. I don't know.
Yeah. Hi, Charlie, if you're there. Good to see you. And Keith, I think you're signed in too, but don't have your camera live yet, so we'll see you shortly, I'm sure. There he is.
This will also be our first meeting with more than 100. So hopefully it works as it's supposed to.
Yes. Here's hoping. Early birds get the worms, I guess. As long as Dave is in the first 100, we're good.
Yeah.
Your internet is pretty steady there today, Ron.
What's that?
Did you do something with your modem? You're very steady. Or are you in the office?
No, I'm upstairs. I'm usually pretty good upstairs. It's the basement that gives me some trouble. Yeah. So yeah, and Aaron is technically running this, so yeah, as long as she's got a good internet connection, and Dave, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make a lot of people co-hosts, so if anything happens to any of us, it should be okay.
So that's not something we've ever done really in terms of multiple hosts and stuff, but that's great. So with that, if I'm a co-host, does that give me the ability to mute people and stuff too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So both Ron and Keith, you're both co-hosts right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay. It's good to know you can have more than one co-host.
Yeah.
We need them. We may need them more often than some of the stuff that we're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you have the waiting room turned on. I always give a couple co-hosts so that they can click admit as people come in as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How are your guys' COVID numbers now? They're down, right?
Oh yeah, we're like two or three active cases in the province now.
Bubble is going to open back up, Aaron.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Or we got that South African variant, the last one, but the guy's gotten over it already, from what I understand. So,
Yeah.
Ron's right. We're down to like a couple or three cases, and we'll know more in about another 45 minutes from now when they announce today's. But
Hmm.
people are, I mean, we're relieved because we got a bit of a fright there a little over a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to head there this summer if I can.
Yeah.
Wear your mask. Wear your mask.
Mm.
I will.
I'm definitely heading your way this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bubble or not, I'll roll over. I got to get out of here.
Yeah. More than once, probably. All right. I just had someone register last minute from New Brunswick, so I'm just going to send them that email link personally because they won't get it otherwise. Hi to everybody that's just popped on. I turned my head for a second there. Hi, Melissa. I see you there, and a bunch of other names. So great to see everybody. We'll give a few minutes here. Obviously, we're here early, which is great. I'm sure Dave will be right in. He confirmed by email about 15 minutes ago. He's really looking forward to spending some time with us. So he'll be here shortly, and we'll get started. So see Austin there too, and Jerry. Hi, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Austin, I want to talk to you about what Gary was talking about yesterday at some point, okay?
Absolutely. You see now, Melissa's got the seat now. She's in the seat already.
Yeah, I just hang out.
Awesome. So I think we got over 200, don't we, Ron?
There's about 215 registered. I know I've got an email from one or two that couldn't make it, and we'll record for any of those folks. But yeah, if we can have around 200, I think it's going to be an awesome day. So yeah.
Perfect.
We got 4 minutes.
Transmittal day up your way, Austin? Melissa, yeah, Aaron said you guys
Yes.
were working on. I guess everybody wants to get it done before the weekend. Yeah,
Linda's trying to get everything in she can.
yeah. I just see Dave Jenks pop on our screen. Hi, Dave. How are you? You're muted. I don't know if that's you or if Aaron's got you muted, but we can't hear you. How many times have we heard that this year?
That's right. You can see his lips moving, but
That's right.
no sound. There's no sound coming through. Yes, you guys
Yeah.
have probably become the masters of Zoom, right?
We're getting there. Good to see you, Dave. We're getting a lot of people signing in here. We'll
Sure. You're managing that, are you? You have to sort of let them in individually, do you?
Yeah, well, they're coming. Aaron Malcolm is running this. She's got it set up so that they're coming in as they click the link. They're not required to go to the waiting room. So we'll fill up here pretty quickly, and I'll do an introduction. We'll set you free.
We'll get launched, huh? This is it. So everyone needs to know. So Dave is a Canadian wannabe. I was born 5 miles from Canada in Niagara Falls, New York. And my brothers and I became, Maple Leaf fans, and we would drive up to Toronto to the Canadian National Exhibition, every summer. And we just, so I'm fundamentally a Canadian wannabe.
Yeah, awesome. That's
Now,
close
I don't
enough.
know about whether I'm a Newfoundland
Oh,
Labrador wannabe. I have to figure that out,
we can work on that. That's why I got my nice background to see if it maybe might be appealing to have you come visit sometime.
Is that what it looks like?
That's Signal Hill, which is a national historic site in our harbor, looking back in towards the city.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Ron, can you allow, we've got a late registrant and it's not letting her register.
Okay, and I'm going to put the link in the chat, Melissa, and if you could send that to her. So just forward that Zoom link and she'll be fine. And so Dave, you want access to share your screen, right, Aaron? Do
Yes,
you have Dave
I
as
do.
co-host
I need
already?
that, and
Okay.
then just
You should
somebody,
be able to, yeah.
Just
Okay.
somebody to manage the mutes, that's all, just to make sure. Because sometimes when you have as many people as you have coming on, somebody accidentally unmutes.
Mhm.
That's just it. And so somebody kind of needs to hit the button.
All of a sudden the dogs are barking and the kids are crying.
That's right. The kids are crying, the dogs are barking, and somebody is telling us secrets we don't want to know.
That's right. It's even worse. Yeah,
We hate to create embarrassing moments for them. So
that's right. Yeah. So we've got a bunch of people are filing in. We're up to 54 in now, Dave. So just as a bit of background, while we're waiting for a couple of minutes, we've got guests from all 3 Atlantic Canadian market centers. So I think we've got about 50 plus registered from Newfoundland. There's about 85 from Nova Scotia, mostly from Halifax, but the rest of the province as well, and including some from PEI, and about 75 or 80 from New Brunswick, their market center there. And I think we've probably got somewhere between 10 and 20 guests from outside of KW as well, which is great.
wonderful. No, welcome them. It's wonderful to have them on board. You're
Yeah.
recording this, so
Yeah.
you'll probably, Ron, make that available to the other owners and the other team leaders, so
Absolutely.
that their people can get that link and re-listen. Because what I find with this, particularly this Y list with me, is I jam so much into an hour and 15 minutes that it's really helpful for people to re-listen to it. It just really is,
Yeah.
beneficial. So anyway,
Yeah. With your permission, we will share it as much as
no,
we can.
please do. The only thing I do is don't do a general, Facebook broadcast to the world.
Yes.
That's it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
We don't want to train the competition.
That's right. Yep. No, that's good. So if it's okay with you, Dave, maybe we'll give a couple of more minutes, just because.
Yeah, I think, I'm a big believer in the Mo Anderson philosophy, which is start on time. She said, honor
Yeah.
the people that are here on time. We don't make any judgment
No.
about the people that aren't here. They get to come when they come, but you.
I agree. I'm just
you
gonna
decide.
turn that
Yeah.
off.
Turn off the phones.
All right, so I've got that phone muted. So on that note, Dave, we will get started. So guys, for those of you who are here already, thank you very much for being here and welcome. Like I say, we've got guests from all 3 market centers in the greatest 3 provinces in Canada. So it's awesome to have a get together just before we head into the long Easter weekend.
Absolutely. By the way, just
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Somebody is making a bunch of people co-hosts. I don't know why that's accidentally happening, but I keep seeing a name popping up that so-and-so is a co-host. And,
Doing it on purpose, just for others to help mute if it becomes a problem.
oh, okay, I got you. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Eric.
just, I think,
Sorry to
some-
interrupt with your, you are
That's
in
okay.
control. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So guys, I was going to say one of the great things about being at Keller Williams is we get to stand on the shoulders of giants, and we've all heard that before. And we've got such amazing leaders and visionaries in our company. And today, Dave is certainly one of those giants that in one way or another has shaped most of our careers in one way or another with his education, with his writing. So going back 30 years plus, Dave's career in real estate has spanned executive leadership positions in the Dale Carnegie Institute, Century 21. I think it was 96, Dave, that you came to KW.
That's right.
At a period of time, the 10 years from 96 onwards, KW went from a company of just over 2,000 agents to over 70,000 agents. Yes. Dave was involved as the Dean of Keller Williams University and has his fingerprint on a lot of the education that we utilize today. He's also co-authored at least five books that I'm aware of, possibly more. Some of them you'll be very familiar with: Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Millionaire Real Estate Investor, and Shift. I'm sure we'll get some wisdom and some nuggets from those today. So truly a great pleasure to have you here with us, Dave. I wanted to thank Austin and his team in New Brunswick, Jerry and Melissa and the team in Nova Scotia, as well as my team in Newfoundland for helping put this off together as a collaboration. I'm going to hand it right over to you, Dave. Very excited to spend some time with you, and take it away, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Ron, and for all the other owners and leaders up there that have made this possible. And I just want to say to the agents, two things that really matter. One is understand that your leaders really are committed to bringing you the best in world-class training and guidance, so that you can launch your career and take it to where you want it to go. This is all for you. One of the things that's very clear about Keller Williams from the day one. See, I was a divisional president of Century 21 out of Dallas, Texas, and I had 7 states, and Century 21 was the dominant company in the world at the time. And I watched this little company growing out of Austin, and I always study my competition. That's just what I do. And I was astounded when they reinvented and they took over Austin. And I said to myself, if I ever invented a real estate company, it would be like what Gary Keller was. It wouldn't be this big corporate brand name company that I'm with. It would be like this company dedicated to agents, open books, profit sharing, commitment to training, all of those things, letting agents brand themselves. And I said, I would invent it like that. Well, wasn't it neat that 4 years later, Ron, I get a call from Mo Anderson, and she says, Gary and I want you on our team, Dave. We think you know more about real estate franchising than anyone else we know. And also you're just magical the way you train and reach out and work with agents. And we want you on the team. So I hopped on board, and there it was, and we really did start making history. The other thing that I want to share with people on this that's important about that model and what those numbers Ron just gave you, see, your future is never determined by where you've been or where you are, but where you want to be. It's a future-oriented game. And when you envision, like we did with the MVVBPs, that we wanted to be the real estate company of choice for the industry, and that then we became that. And then we grew to #1 in America, then #1 in North America, and then, of course, #1 now in the world, which is an amazing thing. But the same thing is true for you. And the thing that unlocks it, and this is what Gary Keller and I worked on as we built Keller Williams University, and that was the highest achievers are learning based. They use learning as their strategy. Modern psychologists call it the difference between growth-oriented people and stability-oriented people. And they say growth-oriented people believe they can increase their knowledge, expand their skills, and improve their attitudes and get better outcomes. Whereas stability people say, I am who I am, what you see is what you get, telling it like it is, doing the best with what I've got. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that it doesn't lead to any growth. And growth comes by challenging yourself and exposing yourself to training like we're going to do today. So let me kind of give you an idea of what my goal is in this next hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to speak with you. I'm going to share with you the wisdom I've gained over the years about this topic of why list with me and the power of your words. And then we'll open it up for questions or ahas or anything that you want. The other thing, just to make you know, is I will share all of these slides with you. You don't have to take photos of them, although you can if you want to. But I will share them all with you. Just write me dave@kw.com, and I'll tell you what you have to do to earn it. You can't, I'm just not going to, it's not a giveaway. dave@kw.com, just write that address down. And I'll tell you how you can get these slides and also some other things that I'm going to do. But first, let me start with what I want to talk about. So it's interesting for me, when they finally let me out of the institution of higher education, and I got into the world of work, I became the VP of sales and marketing of a large graphic arts and printing company in Albany, New York. And the thing was, I had never been in selling or marketing. And I'm a learning-based guy. So a friend of mine said the Dale Carnegie Institute has a course in selling. Maybe you ought to take that. Well, as I said, I'm learning-based, so I did. I went and took that course. And I'll tell you, it taught me that there are incredible skills that are required to be a great salesperson, an entrepreneur, a person who makes things happen, a person who gets others to do what they want them to do. And it's all in about the way you articulate your value proposition. And I'm going to pass on some of those skills to you, because that really is what launched me of being able to be a successful in real estate and a director of training for 3 states out of Rochester, New York, and then a regional director, and then a divisional president for Century 21, and then working with Gary Keller to build this. And one of the things, I'll just say it, it's an interesting thing about becoming a person of influence, because that's what I want to help teach you to be. And so I remember, Ron, that one of my former staff members, Christy Torian, went to work with RE/MAX. She had been with me in Century 21. And she wrote me in 2003, and she said, Dave, I just came back from this RE/MAX meeting in Atlanta, and we spent a whole afternoon talking about how do you compete against Keller Williams. And they put your picture up there, and they said, this is Dave Jenks. He's the wordsmith of Keller Williams, and he's teaching people why they should join Keller Williams. And you want to listen to him, because that's who we're competing against right there, right? So what I'm going to teach you today is how to actually have that sense of being a person of influence and being able to articulate your value proposition. And the whole goal of this is to help you become a more powerful listing agent, because listers last. Listing is the way we get our credibility. Listing is the way we get our referrals. Listing is the way we grow our business, right? Mike Ferry, one of my early mentors, said, Dave, here's the key to real estate. List a home, tell the world you listed it. Sell a home, tell the world you sold it. List another home, right? And I thought that, wow, that's powerful. And then I realized, because I talked with a top agent in Keller Williams in Northern Indiana, who'd been #1 in her MLS for 10 years. And I said, what's your most powerful marketing tool? And she said, my just listed, just sold cards. She said, I list a home, I send out 200 to 300 just listed cards that say the Smiths at whatever drive have retained me to handle the sale of their home. And this is a great chance for you to choose your neighbor. If you know anyone that wants to move to this area, call me today. So that was a call for buyers. Right then it would sell, and she would send out 200 to 300 just sold cards. And this would say, and get this down, write this down, it's a powerful thing. It would say on it, such and such a home sold. We sold such and such a home. And then it said, the sale of any other home impacts the value of yours. The sale of any other home impacts the value of yours. If you want to know the value of your home or need to sell it, call me today, right there. And then there was her contact information. Wow. She said, after I did that on a regular basis, I became the known agent. I was the go-to agent if you wanted to sell your home. And so remember this lies under everything we're talking about, kind of in this day of a lot of technology and technology firms that are getting into real estate and getting into services to real estate. We may have forgotten what that real estate is really built on. First is, it's a local business. We always said that at the beginning, Gary and I. Real estate is a local business driven by individual agents with their reputation and sphere of influence. And that's the key. So that's never changed. When you look at the national numbers of how people decide who they're going to list with, 73% of them only talk to one agent. Another 17% only talk to two. So less than 10% of people actually shop around agents. And you want to be one of those agents. And so remember this about real estate. It's local. That's number one. Number two is it's built on reputation, relationship, and trust. Your reputation, your relationships with people, that's why your database is your business, and trust. Trust is the big issue. We're going to talk about that later. That's how you become a powerful listing agent. Now, the key to it is the ability to articulate your value proposition. What Christy Torian said, that Remax said, was Dave was articulating the Keller Williams value proposition. And I was a master at that because I understood it. And so I would go, I was the road warrior. I would go to new markets as we opened, and I would do a training session, an MREA type. We called it Mega Agent Productivity Systems at the time. MAPS was the training before MREA was written. And I would blend into that presentation why we believe what we do in Keller Williams. And of course, tons of people came and joined us, became owners for us. Why? Because they really understood the power of that value proposition, but it was also because I could articulate it. And I want to talk to you about how you articulate your value proposition, because that's the key. It's why people do business with you. And then I want you to become, a master of the art of influence. If you understand how persuasion works, you can influence your kids to do their homework, clean their room. You can, get neighbors to do what they need to do to support the school. All of that thing, you can become a person of influence because of the way that you talk about things. And then understand all of it today is focused on building your listing presentation. And a lesson I learned from Mike Ferry early on. I went to this big training session, about 2,000 people in the room, and Mike gets up in front of the room and he says, okay, we succeed in real estate based on 3 skills: prospecting, presenting, and closing. Which of those 3 do you think is most important? How many think it's prospecting? Well, I mean, that's what Mike teaches. So every hand in the room went up, and he went, no, it's not. How many think it's closing, that you staying in there, answer all their questions, don't take no for an answer, and get them to sign on the document? And, maybe half the hands went up, and he went, nope. He said it's presenting, because until you've mastered your listing presentation, you won't prospect. You won't know your value proposition. You won't be ready to answer their questions. You won't have the confidence to prospect. He said, until you master your listing presentation. And now, if you have a bad listing presentation, people, no matter how slick a closer you are, people aren't going to probably list with you anyway. So the key to being a great listing agent, he said, is to master your listing presentation. We're going to do that today. And part of that is mastering your scripts and dialogues. And people have such a misunderstanding of scripts and dialogues. Here's what I want you to remember. Scripts are the poetry of selling. Scripts are the poetry of selling. They're the most emotionally powerful ways to say things. Gary Keller says, people have done real estate before us. They've done it at the highest level. They've learned how to talk to their sellers and buyers in effective ways. They have passed those effective ways to say things onto us as scripts. All we have to do is master them. Now, by the way, we all actually love scripts and dialogues. We binge on Netflix, we go to movies, and what are we doing? We're just watching people repeating scripts. Great screenwriters write a play, write a movie, they write the dialogue, they develop the plots, and then actors and actresses simply memorize those. And by the way, they memorize them exactly as they're written, because if they start using their own words, the director will go, wait, you're going off script. Don't go off script. That's the way it's written. That's the way I want it delivered. Okay, stay on the script. That's interesting. So they're not winging it. They memorize, they master those scripts and dialogues, they deliver them on screen, and then we are touched emotionally by them. Isn't that amazing? Well, that's all that scripts and dialogues are. The most powerful ways to say things. They are the poetry of selling. We're going to talk about those and why they're so important and how you memorize them in chunks. And then I want us to get used to this idea that our words matter. The way we say things matter. Now, words are only, they say, 8% of communication, and another 35% is your inflections, the way you say things, and then 50-some% are your nonverbal signals. But what they get wrong in that, or what gets backward, and that is that when you use the right words, you say them more powerfully, and your confident level of nonverbal signals comes through. So it still all starts with the words you use. And there's a wonderful book by Richard Bayan, Bayan, called Words That Sell. Highly recommended. I've had it for over 20 years. He's a copywriter. He takes the 30 to 40 benefits of working with you and shows you 30 or 40 ways to say them. And also he has a whole section on attention getters that you can use in your marketing to get people's attention. And then a whole set of descriptors of how to talk about yourself as you talk about your skills and abilities. It's a wonderful thing. And he wrote a second book called More Words That Sell. I recommend them both. I've got them both, but get Words That Sell and start to read those words and get the feel of why they are poetry, why they're magic, why they convey things in a powerful way. So Words That Sell, Richard Bayan. And then the whole game we're playing is to gain self-confidence, because we are in the most competitive sport there is. Real estate sales is the most competitive entrepreneurial business there is. One is it's not easy to master. As Gary Keller says, you know, it's rocket science. So people come up and say, well, it's not rocket science. And he goes, oh, yes, it is. Done at the highest level, real estate is rocket science. It's brain surgery. The knowledge you need to have is so deep. The skills you need to have are so hard for people to develop, and the discipline you have to have and the willingness to compete. I am telling you, it is rocket science. And so it takes self-confidence. But here's the phrase to remember. See, a lot of people think they can affirm their way into self-confidence, that they can give themselves positive self-talk. And I'm a believer in positive self-talk, by the way, but it can't take you to the highest level of confidence. What does is competence. Competence. When you're good at something and you know you're good at something, your confidence goes through the roof. So the key to getting confident in selling is to build your competence. Competence at doing the business, competence at the complexity of the business, competence at the knowledge of the business, competence in your listing presentation. So competence leads to self-confidence, which is the game. You know, competitive athletes say, I'm working on my confidence, and my putting isn't that confident right now. My three-point shot isn't that confident right now. My stick handling isn't that confident right now. I'm really working on it. So the point is, it's about self-confidence. And then finally, that gives you control of your career, because now people want to do business with you. You're building your credibility. You have a reputation. And now you can take that's what MREA teaches, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent teaches. Once you build your fundamental knowledge of real estate, you can take it as big as you want. I always like to say to people, the toughest part of real estate is your first 12 transactions, particularly your first listings. Then if you can do 20 or so transactions in a year, now with a little leverage, you could do 50 to 80 or 100 transactions a year. And then you can start to build an MREA business, and then you can take it as big as you want, right? I mean, that's what we found out in Keller Williams, because we allow people to take it as big as they want. So let's dive in. We're going to deal with competence, communication, and presentation. Competence, communication, and presentation, three things. So people do business with us. Why? Well, because we have knowledge, skills, and attitudes, right? I mean, we have those that they want. This is a very complicated business. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am a master of real estate contracts. By the time we get to the end of this transaction, there will be 75, 85 pages or more of contracts and financial documents. And I will make sure they're filled out all correctly and accurately. No one's taking advantage of you. Your interests are protected, so you can be confident to sign those and go to closing. I can do that for you because I'm a master of contracts. See, now what a way to express why they should list with you. And by the way, I've had agents who've taken this seminar and they go, Dave, this was brilliant because I am a master of contracts. I know the legal side of this business inside and out, and I know financing and I know property evaluation, but I never thought that's what I should put out when I did my presentation. I thought I should tell them how much business I've done and my testimonials and my credentials. And no, I realize it's my skills and I have them, so I need to tell them, right? So understand that you build these skills. They're not easy to understand the legal complexity of the business. Not easy to understand financing. A lot of top agents say, the mistake new agents make is they delegate too much financing to their mortgage officer. And sure, you delegate for them the approval letters and pre-quals, and you and the of course the processing of the application and the underwriting, but not the knowledge, not the tools, not how the choices you have in financing a property. So either buyers or sellers need to be a master of finance. And then finally, the third big knowledge we have is the local market knowledge, our knowledge of the market, our ability to evaluate property accurately. Right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the reasons to list with me is I'm a master of property evaluation. I'm not a licensed appraiser, but I am better than they are at predicting what a home will sell for. And more important than that, I know how to make a home more saleable and more attractive to compete effectively against the other homes that buyers are looking at. You will get the highest possible price working with me because I am a master of property evaluation. What a thing to be able to say. So remember, competence leads to confidence. When you know your contracts, finance, and property evaluation, then you can express it the way that I just did, and people will want to work with you. Now, also, you're going to show them your skills, that your communication skills, we'll talk about that in a second, your presentation skills, in the end, we're going to really develop that. And of course, using the Y4C2Ts as your way of negotiating, right? Win-win or no deal, seek first to understand, together everyone achieves more, customers always come first. All of those Y4C2Ts are just the underpinning of great negotiating ability. And then finally, people buy our attitude. They feel our attitude, they sense it, but we need to express it to people. And I think there's three attitudes that really make a difference for listing agents. One is intention, two is assertiveness, and three is commitment. And intention means I get things done. I have goals, I have sub-goals, I have accountability, I have a tracking system. I am a person who makes things happen, a person of intention. That's what great real estate agents are, people of intention. So you'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one reason to list with me is that you will find I am a person of intention. I have goals, I achieve them. I have methods and actions I take to make things happen. I make good things happen. So when I decide to take on and handle the sale of your home, you can count on the fact that it will get done successfully because I am a person of intention. Does that make sense? You really want to express yourself that strongly. Now, here's another one. And by the way, I'm demonstrating it to you. It's assertiveness. See, I say to people, there's a lot of room in real estate for humility, but there's no room for modesty. You can be humbled by this business because it's complicated, things will go wrong, you'll even make mistakes, you always could do better, but no one can blow your horn like you can. You need to toot your own horn. You need to let people know how good you are. You need to be assertive. Now, by the way, assertive doesn't mean aggressive, by the way. People confuse the two. Aggressive means you're in control. It's a little bit anger driven and you're wanting to, assure that things happen. Assertiveness means that you stand up for what you want, you state what you want, you expect to be treated with respect, and you defend other people getting what they want, and you don't sit back, you stand up and tell the truth. That's assertive, right? So one of the things I found, I was a district manager for Century 21 in Syracuse, New York, making $18,000 a year. I wanted to become regional director where they made $150,000 a year plus bonuses. And so I put that down as a goal. And then I said, well, wait a minute, what would it take for me to be able to accomplish that? What would it take for me to be able to get to that level of leadership? Well, I said, I need to become more outgoing, more assertive. I care too much what other people think. I'm playing it too cautious and too cozy. I want them to like me. I need to stand up and be bold and state the truth, not alienate people, but tell it like it is, take charge, take leadership, take risks. I need to become more assertive. And so I found this neat document called the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. It was so instructive. I put it above my desk and I looked at it every day and I got more assertive. I did. Now, here's what happened. I just got to tell you this story. So I set that goal. Well, just about as I was at that district manager, and my boss, the regional director, Marv, was moved to California and appointed executive vice president of the whole company, of all of Century 21. And he was replaced by another man, George, who became regional director for that 3-state region. And then after 3 years, George and I became director of training under George and learned a lot from him. But then after 3 years, he was moved to Atlanta to head up another region. And now they had an opening for a regional director. And I was one of the ones they interviewed. And I went out to California and I met with Marv, that was his name, my former regional director. And I could tell he was setting me up to let me down. You know, he would say, Dave, it's so good to, what you've accomplished out there is so wonderful and glad to have you as a candidate. And, you know, there's so many talented leaders in this company. And I could just tell he was ready to say, so there'll be a time for you, but not this one, right? And I said, Marv, let me just stop you right now, if I may. I said, I just want you to know that the man sitting across the desk from you today is not the same man you left 3 years ago. I'm more assertive, I'm more take charge. I have built respect with those brokers. In fact, I know the 10 things that need to be done out there, and I will do them. I will make that region rock. And he kind of, you know, went, well, really, Dave, really? So what would you do? Well, I had my list and I ran down the list of the things that I would put in place and accomplish. And he went, yeah, I like that, Dave. And I got the job. Now, by the way, if I had not been that assertive, I wouldn't have had that job. I wouldn't have become divisional president for Century 21 out of Dallas. I wouldn't have caught the eye of Mo Anderson. I wouldn't have joined Mo and Gary to build Keller Williams and write the books and build the greatest company in the history of real estate if I had not been assertive. So I say to you, I think everyone in real estate can become more assertive, not more aggressive, but more assertive, right? Getting what they want. So assertiveness, important. And then the final one is commitment. And I learned that from one of the other pioneers in Keller Williams. His name is Tom Caldwell. Tom Caldwell was the president of Van Scott Realty, the biggest independent real estate company in Denver, Colorado. And he was its president. And he went to a meeting of real estate leaders in Florida. And two of the presenters were Gary Keller and Dave Liniger, the president of RE/MAX. And Tom tells the story. He said, I came back from that meeting and I said, the future of real estate is Gary Keller. And so he resigned his soft, cushy position with that big multi-office company, went down to Austin, signed up and bought the rights to the region, Keller Williams region in Colorado, took it into RE/MAX's backyard and did an amazing job. It was a lot of work, made it grow, and ultimately sold it for a couple of $1 million. And now he and his wife, Gwen, travel the world. He's a real history buff. So he loves that. But he did that. And he said one thing I'll never forget. He said, Dave, the secret to success is doing what you say you'll do. Do what you say you'll do. And I went, wow. He said, it's making commitments. And he said, I keep a commitment list, even above my to-do list. I have a to-do list, but anytime I tell, he said, real estate people will tell people they're going to do something, then they don't do it. They tell them what they want to hear, and then they don't do it. He said, so anytime I say I'm going to get something to somebody or write them back or put a date on my calendar or make lunch or set up a lunch or whatever. He said, I put that on my commitment list. That means I've made a commitment. If I make a commitment to myself, like on Monday, I'm going to start working out 3 days a week. I put that on my commitment list. And then under it, I have my to-do list. But he said, I always complete my commitment list before I get on my to-do list. Make sure I'm completing all those loops, whatever I said I was going to do. So doing what you say you'll do. And then you can say that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the things you'll enjoy about working with me is I'm a person of commitment. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You can take it to the bank. Promises made, promises kept. I will always do what I say I'm going to do. I am a person of commitment. See, now that's who people want to work with. Somebody with that kind of thing. So be a person of commitment. So there we go. We have the knowledge you need, the skills you want to build, and the attitudes that you want to develop. Now, that's competence. So that all this is competence, and this leads to confidence in yourself as a realtor and in making an effective listing presentation. Now let's dive into the communication. And I also learned this from the Dale Carnegie Institute. I read and absorbed Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a classic. And by the way, it's interesting. On Amazon.com, I've checked this out every year for the last 5 years. Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is in the top 200 books of the tens of thousands of books that Amazon sells every year, How to Win Friends and Influence People's in the top 200. And it was written 75 years ago. Why is it still there? Because it's built on timeless truths, right? It's just like MREA, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's the #1 selling book in the history of real estate, 1.4 million copies sold. Today, if you looked on Amazon.com, it would be the #1 best-selling current book in the real estate category. And it was written 17 years ago. Why is it there? Built on timeless truths, same as Dale Carnegie. And I would say in your life, build it on timeless truths. Don't build it on new modern gimmicks. Build your life on timeless truths. How to Win Friends and Influence People, MREA. So let's take a look at what Dale Carnegie says about communication. He says it's critical. And he said there's the big three. #1 is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. He said the minute you go there, you go to a negative space that hurts your relationships, hurts the way you communicate, even hurts your own self-confidence. And certainly with others, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. My wife and I are very self-conscious about not criticizing, condemning, and complaining with each other or about each other. So don't criticize, condemn, or complain. #2 is give honest, sincere appreciation. Maybe the most powerful script in the world is this: thank you. I really appreciate that. Powerful. So give honest, sincere appreciation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you for opening your home and giving me the opportunity to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. I really appreciate this, right? Give honest, sincere appreciation. And then #3, focus on what other people want. Zig Ziglar said, you will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. We're in a service-oriented economy. We succeed in getting what we want by helping others get what they want. Be focused on what other people want, particularly your sellers and buyers and investors. But focus on what other people want and empower yourself to help them achieve that. So there we go. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Give honest, sincere appreciation and focus on what other people want. Now, here are the supportive 6 for really great communications. #1 is be genuinely interested in other people. Let curiosity drive you. Gary Gentry, the guy in Keller Williams who closed our first sale ever back in 1983. And he and his wife, Melody, still run a great team in Austin. Gary Gentry, one of our icons. And he said, Dave, I can learn more from somebody in a half hour about them, probably more than other people know about them, where they came from, what their interests are, where their work is, where they went to school. He said, I remember all this stuff. And he said, then I capture it and I download it on a audio file right after every appointment, and I send that to my assistant and they put that up in my database. And now I've bonded for them for life because I have all that information. So he says, Dave, your database is your business. Make sure that you build it. But he said, I learn more from other people because I am so genuinely curious about them. And I think that's how you build long-term relationships. Be very curious about other people, get to know their story. And then second, smile. In this age of masks, face masks, we kind of cover up our nonverbal communications, but let your physical positivity show through. Let it show through. Smile. #3, remember people's names. It's the most important phrase or word in the world to them is their name, right? And don't say this. Don't say, oh, Dave, I'm no good at remembering names. Dave, I can't remember names. Dave, I've never been good at remembering names. Why would you give yourself that self-talk? Why would you convince your subconscious that you're no good at this? No, say, Dave, I'm really working at getting better at remembering people's names. I'm putting some systems in place and I am really getting better at remembering people's names. I know it's a challenge. And by the way, it is. Everyone struggles with remembering people's names. You know why? It's 2 different parts of your brain. The part where you bond with people is a right side where you get emotional connection. You know who they are. You have a sense of their story. They have a sense of who you are. That's on the right side of your brain. But all the labels, their name, where they come from, where they went to school, their job, their company, their pets' names, their kids' names, that's all on the left side of the brain. And so you have to work to bring the 2 together. And that takes work. And what does it take? Well, first you have to capture it. So make sure you get their name. If you're going into an appointment, write it down. And if you don't know how to spell it, make sure you know how to spell it. If it's like Elizabeth, say, do you like Elizabeth or Beth or Liz? What do you prefer, Dave or David? Make sure that you know how they want it said. If you meet somebody and you're talking to them somewhere, have a little notepad with you and say, oh, by the way, I missed your name. What was your name? Mary. Okay, thank you, Mary. And by the way, if I wanted to write you, what's your best email address? I mean, it's real quickly. Good. And if I wanted to call you, if I had something that was important, where would I call? Okay, boom, 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 right? So that's a great way, by the way, a great technique to be getting their fundamental information so then you can communicate with them. But the thing is, get their name down. And then the way you remember it is repetition. Remember this, repetition is the mother of memory. Repetition is the mother of mastery. That's repetition. So Dave, thank you very much for opening your home and letting me earn the right to handle the sale of your home, Dave. Let me tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, Dave, so I can get a clear picture of what you want to accomplish and how I can help. Does that sound good, Dave? Great. See, Dave, are you using his name too many times? No, he'll love it. He'll love it. They'll love hearing their name that many times. And for you, the repetition gets it into your mind so that you then can't forget it. So get good at remembering people's names, do the work, and then encourage others to talk about themselves. Remember, as you're doing a listing appointment, there's really 3 phases of it. There's the phase where you get to know them and build rapport. That's when you're looking at the home and you're meeting each other and you're checking things out and kind of talking. That's all about them. Then there's the 20 minutes where you do your listing presentation, and now it's about you and how you're going to benefit them, but it's still about you. And then we move into handling the listing now that we have it. And that's again about making common decisions about pricing and staging and communication and all the things you do when you service somebody who's listing you're handling, right? So there's those 3 phases. So remember, this first part is all about, so encourage them to talk about themselves, talk about their interests, not yours. Be very careful here, no me toos. People have this mistaken impression that if I share a common interest with them, it bonds us. Not necessarily. Like, listen to this. So Dave, what do you like to do? Oh, I like to play golf. Oh, you like to play golf? I love to play golf. I'm addicted. I'm a 5.2 handicap. What's yours? I'm a member of Oak Hill Country Club. Are you a member of a country club? Yeah. And what great courses have you had a chance to play? I've gotten to play Pebble Beach. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Now, what have I done? I've talked over the top of them. I've almost entered into a competition. You know, my love of golf is better than your love of golf. And do you think that makes them feel bonded with me? No. So no me toos. What you do is, if you have a common interest, you let it guide your questions. So say you love movies, just love movies. And you say, okay, Dave, what do you like to do in your spare time? Oh, we love movies. Really? You love movies? That's wonderful. What kind of movies do you particularly like? Yeah. Any genre? Yeah. And what about any actresses or actresses? Are there that you are favorites? Okay. What about directors? Is there a director you follow? Yeah. And by the way, what movies have you seen recently that you'd recommend that I go see? Great. Thank you. Love movies just like you do. See how different that is? So no me toos. Talk about their interests until you get to the listing presentation, and then make others feel important. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am so honored that you have opened your home to allow me to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. And I know I have to please you. You're the boss. I'm going to tell you what I can do, but I know you're the one that's going to make the decision. And when we work together, I'm going to give you great advice and great information, but I'm always going to do what you say because you're the boss. See, powerful. Now, if they've got an important position, honor them for that. If they're on a local committee of some kind, honor them for that. Anything that you can do to make them feel important. If they've been, in the military, say thank you for your service. Whatever it is, make them feel important. So those are the supportive 6. Be genuinely interested in other people. Let your curiosity drive you. Smile. Let your natural energy show through physically. Remember people's names. Do the work and the repetition to get that skill down. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Talk about their interests, not yours. No me too. And then make others feel important. So there we go. We've got competence. And we've got communication. Let's get down to presentation, and it builds on scripts and dialogues. Gary Keller says people have lived before us. They've learned how to say things well, and they've passed us on in the way to say them. Just remember that scripts are the poetry of selling, and the key to it is this: memorizing and internalizing. Linda McKissick's a great example of this. Now, Linda McKissick went from failing out of real estate to the 7th level in 8 years. In 1991, she was failing out of real estate, been in it 4 years, averaging about $15,000 a year in commissions earned, not enough, was ready to drop out. And then 8 years later, here's what it looks like. Linda's business, the McKissick Group, our systems are your solution. That was the cut phrase of it. She closed 352 sales in 99. She had 4 admins, 5 buyer specialists, 2 listing specialists, and a manager. She wasn't even managing it. She was the owner. That's what we call 7th level in MREA. She owns a business built on her brand, her name, and her systems, and her commitment to service and her staffing. Now, she said, Dave, here's what unlocked my career. I learned how to say things well. She said, I was just a country girl telling it like it was, and I realized I was boring. And I started hanging out with other agents, and they talked so differently from me. They could answer questions, and I would listen to them role play, and I would listen to them. I'd say, well, what do you do if the customer says this? And they would tell me, and I'd go, whoa, that's good. And so I started to learn to say things powerfully, she said, and that improved my confidence. And then I went out, I learned how to ask for business. I learned how to present more effectively. I learned how to present offers. And then I learned how to recruit people to my team and manage them. She said, everything in life is a presentation. You have to master presentation. And to do that, you have to master the right way to say things. And those are scripts and dialogue. So it unlocked her career. So she said, Dave, it's worth the work to learn how to say things well. So memorize, internalize. You do exactly what great actors and actresses do. The first thing they do is memorize it. They speed read it back and forth. They say it fast, 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 without any emotion, just so they can get it locked into their memory. And then they do it with over emotion to get the emotional feel for it. That is, they've internalized it. See, when you memorize it and you now internalize it, you don't change the way you say it. You live the way you say it. Now it's genuinely and sincerely part of you because you understand why this is such a powerful way to say things. You'll see it in a minute. And then you customize it, meaning scripts are a set of tools. There's a set of chunks. There's chunking ways to say things. You don't memorize like a long presentation in and of itself. That's not scripts. Scripts are little chunks that you use. So you customize it. So for example, here's a great one. Handle the sale of your home. That's a script. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm here to apply for the job of handling the sale of your home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, here's what I'll do. See, that's so much better than list it, market it, sell it. Those are the dumbed down ways to say what we do. No, we handle the sale of a home. It's fiduciary, it's big. From the time we take the listing all the way through till it closes, we handle the sale. Right? So use that phrase. See, that's a powerful phrase right there. Handle the sale of your home. So customize it and then capitalize it, meaning, what we say is when you learn how to say things well, then people will pay you and we get to capitalize on it. But one of the keys is to really get good at memorizing things. That's why, I do things like, Zig Ziglar says, you will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. Or your success in real estate will be in direct proportion to the number of people who, when they think of real estate, think of you, right? Or Earl Nightingale's a famous quote that says, success is the progressive realization of personal, predetermined, worthwhile goals. And it's really good to memorize these really good little aphorisms because they're really good at memorizing. In fact, memorizing poetry is a good thing. As a year ago, as we were coming into COVID, I was reminded of Rudyard Kipling's poem, If you can keep your head while all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself while others doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, not deal in lies, or being hated, not give way to hating, and yet not act too good or talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. And then it goes on for two and a half more verses, and it finishes with, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, then yours is the world and anything that's in it. And more than that, life's battle, you'll have won. Right? Rudyard Kipling, poem. Yeah, but the fun is in memorizing it. My brothers and I used to do a family reunion, and we had to put skits on at the end. And so I memorized the poem, The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, right? And acted it out. It's such a powerful poem. So anyway, it's a great thing to practice memorizing things, learn how to do it. And we'll talk about how you do that with scripts and dialogues. So there we go. Now let's dive into the presentation. So we've done competence, we've done communication, let's do presentation. And the listing presentation has several elements of it: setting the stage, getting their mind right, making the presentation, highlighting the key benefits, pricing and staging, and explaining the commission if you need to, right? So let's dive in, setting the stage. Here's a great script. It's called the 1 minute listing presentation. It goes like this: Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? First, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Okay. And 2, are you willing to price it to sell? All right. And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? All right. See, now the reason it's called the 1 minute listing presentation is because listen to this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? First, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Oh yeah, Dave, we got to be out of here in 6 or 8 weeks. We got to get it sold. Wonderful. Are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we want to get the highest price we can, but yeah, we'll price it whatever you say to get it sold. Okay, great. And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Oh yeah, Dave, you come so highly recommended. Yeah, we want to list with you. Wonderful. Well, let's get started. And now you start doing the work. Why? In less than a minute, you just got the listing. You got 3 yeses. There's no need to give any other presentation about what you do or how you do it or results you get or certificates you have or anything. All you have to do is start doing the work. So you start filling out the listing agreement, and then you do the pricing, and then you do the staging anyway, you start doing the work because you've got a listing. So that's as long as a listing presentation needs to be, 1 minute, right? Okay, might not always go like that. So let's try another one. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 important questions. May I ask them? First, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Well, no, we love it here. We love this home. We just thought we'd put it on the market and, you know, see what it might bring. Okay, great. And are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we need to at least get 900,000 for it, at least 900,000. Okay, good. We'll get you the highest price. And would you like me to handle the sale for you? Well, we're interviewing 2 other agents too. Great. Okay, let's get started. Now I know I've got 3 pieces of information. I know I'll combine them all in this one script, but I got 3 pieces of information. The answer to the first question is motivation. Are they motivated to sell? In the case of what I just heard back, you know, we just want to see what the market would bring. I probably am not going to take that listing because I'm not going to do all that work, put it on the market just so they can see what it would sell for. Right. However, I am going to probe that. I'm going to probe it because maybe they really are more needing to and wanting to sell than that initial statement. But what the answer to the first question tells me their motivation. Answer to the second one tells me the need for education. If they think they need to get 900,000 and I know I'm going to be lucky to get 780, 790 for it, then I know I have an education to do with them about the marketplace and what price it's going to sell for. Now, I don't do it then. We're never adversarial. I don't do it then. I just make a note. Okay, I'm going to have to talk to them about pricing. And then the final thing is they're interviewing other agents. I know I'm going to have to be so good and so quick and create a sense of urgency so they want to list with me. And I'll say, oh, by the way, I'll call those other 2 agents. I'll let them know they can bring their buyers to your home, but we got the listing handled. Okay, would you like me to do that? Yeah, I'll be happy to, right? You take on the responsibility of what they might not. So so that's commitment. So the answer to these 3 questions tell me their motivation, the need for education, and their commitment. And so then I can go in. But see, these 3 questions really set the stage for what you know you have to deal with, and they may just lead to you getting the listing right there, and you can get to work, which is why it's the 1 minute listing presentation. Now, the other thing is we want to get their attention. So they may be thinking of something else. They may not know how long this appointment is going to go. They may be thinking about homeschooling, or they may be thinking about their shopping list or a problem at work or whatever. So we got to get their attention because now we're down to showtime, right? This is presentation time. This is showtime. This is where we take over, right? So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, at the end of our meeting, one of three things will happen. One, you will decide to have me handle the sale for you. Or two, you will decide not to list with me. And three, I will decide not to take your listing. Now, any of those three is okay with me. Does that make sense? Whoa, they're going to go, whoa. Okay, we better pay attention because we're going to have to make a decision. And one of those might be he might not take our listing. And so they might say, well, Dave, wait, why wouldn't you take our listing? And you go, look, my job is to not only meet your expectations, but exceed it. And if I feel based on our discussion that I'm not going to be able to do that, then I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to hold you into something. No, we'll part friends and part ways. Does that make sense? Okay. See, right away, you're not coming on as needy. That's important. You never want to feel needy, like you got to have this listing ever. You don't want to feel that way, and you certainly don't want to express it. You're willing to walk. And the other thing is that this is time to make a decision. And you're okay. You're just here to make a decision. Look, I'm here to have us make a really good decision. And whatever it is, it's okay with me. See, how cool is that? Now, the other thing is you want to get them focused on the fact this is only going to take 20 minutes, maybe 30 at the longest. You want them that sense of, and they're going to be relieved by that, by the way, that you're not going to go on and on forever. So here's another way to do it. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, which by the way, should only take about 20 or 30 minutes more, one of three things will happen. One, you will decide to have me handle the sale for you. Notice how my head goes up and down. Or three, you'll decide not to list with me. It's like, why would you do that, right? You'll decide not to list with me. Or I will decide not to take your listing. Now, any of those three is okay with me. Does that make sense? See, we're getting feedback on how did that strike them. Okay, Dave, yeah, let's go. So that's setting the stage. Now, here's another setting the stage. It's called the safe island. I learned this from Floyd Wickman. He said, Dave, when you tell people what's going to happen next, it gives them a sense of security and that you're organized and in control. So here's one on just as you enter into making your presentation that gives them that feeling, because they may think this is going to go on forever. You're going to say, no, it isn't. I'm organized. Let me tell you what's going to happen. And the technique here is another memorizing technique called stacking. We learned this in Dale Carnegie. It's called stacking. It's where you know where you want to go, and you take a group of objects that are easy to remember, and you stack them on top of one another, and that guides you where you want to go. If you're making a presentation, you stack the 3 or 5 points you want to make, and then you can just flow without notes. If I'm teaching a class where I'm teaching maybe 18, 19, 20 scripts to people, and I want to do it in front of them without any notes or whatever, then I've taken 18 objects and stack them, each one representing a different script that I'm teaching. And so I can run right through that class and without ever looking at notes or anything, right? It's a great thing. So let me show you how it works. It's called the safe island. On the bottom of the stack is the letter B followed by the number 4, B4, bright pink. On top of that is a stopwatch, but it only has 1 minute on it. Out of the top of the stopwatch comes 4 steps, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. On the top step are a bunch of question marks all glommed together. On top of the question marks is a grocery cart, what we call a market basket. Just we name it that. It's like you put groceries in. It's all full of numbers. A market basket. On top of the market basket is a jail cell, a window with bars on it, a prisoner behind it, and we think jail cell, jail cell. On top of the jail cell is a spiral staircase, and we think steps. So a bunch of steps, we think steps. So what's on the bottom? B4, then 1 minute, then 4 steps, then question marks, then market basket, then jail cell, and then spiral staircase steps, all right? So let me just show you how this would work. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before we begin, may I take a minute to tell you how I work? Basically, I'm using a 4-step process. First, I'm going to ask you a series of questions so I can get a clear idea of what you want to accomplish and how I can help. Then I will give you enough market information for you to make a rational decision about the price to place on the property. Third, I will honestly sell you on the benefits of working with me and my company and how we get the results we do. And then when you hire me to handle the sale for you, I will tell you step by step all the things I will do to cause the home to sell. Are you ready? Good, let's get started. See, now you've given them a view. They know what's coming. You're organized. It's all put in motion. It's a great script. All these are great scripts. By the way, again, if you write me, dave@kw.com, I will give you all the, copy of all these slides and another document called Dave's Favorite Scripts, which include a bunch more we're not going to cover today, particularly on lead generation. So Dave's Favorite Scripts, the Assertiveness Bill of Rights, if you'd like a copy of that, and the Rudyard Kipling poem, right? All of that, just write me, dave@kw.com, and give me 3 ahas. We're not done yet. So give me 3 ahas that you got from this presentation. All right, so now we've set the scene. Now let's look at the real heart of being a salesperson, and it's facts, benefits, feelings. That's what great selling of anything, great influencing of anything is: facts, benefits, feelings. Facts, what I do; benefits, what you get; feelings, how you will feel after that. Facts, what I do; benefits, what you get; feelings, how you will feel, right? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I do this, which means that therefore you get this, and this will make you feel this way. So example, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as I said, there will, by the time we get to the end of this transaction, there will be 75 or 85 pages of legal documents. I will review them all in detail, make sure they're all correct, no one's taken advantage of you, and you will be able to then sign them with confidence, and you'll have the feeling of peace of mind and security and knowing that the right thing is happening. Does that make sense? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you can ask me questions anytime, but I will consistently report to you on a regular basis as to what's happening with the listing. So you will know exactly where we are. You'll have the confidence that we're moving along the track and we are getting your home sold. And that'll give you that feeling that I respect you and I'm listening to you and that you know exactly what's going on. Does that make sense? Great. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as I said, I will give you enough detailed current market information so that then you can make a great decisions about the price to place on your property so we can get the highest possible price for your home. And therefore you'll have that feeling of satisfaction and well-being that we did the best we could in selling your home. Does that sound right to you? Good. So just remember that every time it's you do something, this is what I do, a fact, here's what you get, the benefit, here's how it will make you feel, feelings, and really get good at this feelings thing, because that's where a lot of people who are mastering this really don't get it. Get that you'll feel peace of mind and relaxation or respected or confident and secure or satisfied or happy and joyful, whatever that is, because you want them feeling really good about what it's like to work with you. So facts, benefits, feelings, facts, benefits, feelings. Now pay real close attention to the next slide, because this is the heart, in my mind, of a great listing presentation. It comes right down to this. Are you ready? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are really 3 reasons to list with me. 1 is you can trust me. 2 is I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. Does that make sense? Yeah. Should we get started? Good, let's go. See, you assume that that's going to get you the listing. You really do. You don't say, what do you think about that? No, that's weak. You say, are you ready to get started? Oh yeah, Dave, let's go. Because by the way, these are the 3 big issues. The number 1 issue, when you ask people, what do you want from your real estate agent? What characteristics do you want? Trust. I want them to be trustworthy. And I want them to take me seriously. And I want them to make sure that everything goes okay in the sale of our home. See, these are the big 3. This is what you do. It's not your track record and all that stuff. For some people that might become relevant. For most it isn't. It comes down to the heart. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are really 3 reasons to list. By the way, you can extend these if you feel you need to. I don't think you need to, but you could. You could say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. I mean, people I work with tell me they would trust me with their children, with their bank account. You can trust me. Number 2 is I will answer all your questions. I will take you very seriously. I'll make sure you have all the information you need. And by the way, I'm professional, which means I know what I know and I know what I don't. And if I know the answer, you'll get it. If I don't know the answer, I've got this world-class company behind me and I will get us the right answer, but I will always answer your questions. And 3 is I will protect you all the way to closing. As I said, there's a lot of legal documents. I will make sure they're filled out right. I'll make sure no one's taking advantage of you. I'll stand up and assert your rights in any negotiations, and I'll take care of any problems that occur. I will protect you all the way through closing. So if you need to, you can expand these. But I think it's just as simple to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. Shall we get started? Yeah, good. Now, let's have some fun. Let's look at the details. There's magical pages in MREA, by the way, magical pages. One of them is page 95. It's a listing presentation on 1 page. You could take that, you could make a photocopy of it, take it into a seller and read it to them, and it would be better than 95% of all listing presentations they'll ever get, because it tells them exactly what you're going to do. And page 151 are the 14 ways we market a home to sell. You want to memorize both of those pages. So you would say to somebody, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are 10 important things that I do to serve you and get your home sold successfully. How much detail would you like me to go into about that? Oh, Dave, you don't need to go into the detail on that. We know you'll tell us what we need to know, when we need to know it. No, let's just get started on it, right? They might do that. Or somebody else might say, oh, that would be wonderful, Dave. I've always wondered what real estate agents really do. What are the 10 things? And you would go just like this, right out of page 95. Well, let me tell you what we do. Number 1 is I'm going to do a thorough needs analysis. I'm going to ask a series of questions so I can get a clear idea of your priorities and how we can get those done. Number 2 is I'm going to give you enough current market information so we can develop a really intelligent pricing strategy to get you the most money for your home. And then as part of that, number 3, I will recommend repairs that we should do ahead of time and staging techniques that will allow your home to look better, show better, and impress the buyers that come to look to it, right? And then number 4 is I have 14 ways I market a home, and we'll decide which ones are more important for the sale of your home. We'll develop a marketing strategy. And number 5 is my work really begins when we get our first offer, because I have to evaluate it and decide whether we're going to take our home off the market to meet that, if it's thorough, if they can fulfill what they say. And as part of that, number 6, I may then have to negotiate it, and so that we get the right terms and conditions and right price for your home. And maybe we'll get multiple offers, in which case I'll be negotiating all of those to get you the best deal possible. But I will negotiate on your behalf. And then number 7, as a result of that, there may be some requirements by the buyer for us to make some repairs. And I have vendors that do that. I will get prices from them. I won't do anything without your approval. And then I will oversee coordinating those repairs. And then, as I said, there will be 75, 85 pages of legal and financial documents that I will review, make sure they're all accurate in detail, review them with you to see if you have any questions and answer them, so that you can be confident in signing those and we can move to closing. And of course, at closing, I'll be there to advise you or handle any resolution of last minute. Now, after closing, I want to be your realtor for life. So I'll help you with your move. Oh, by the way, do you have an agent yet where you're buying a home? Because if you don't, I can get you a great one. And then I can coordinate with that agent as you buy that home with the sale of this one. Would you like me to do that? Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. And then, of course, the sale of a home, it creates a taxing event, and I will create all of the legal documents for you to give to your tax prep person in order to do your next year's taxes. Okay, does that sound good? Any questions on this? Great. See, now that's more thorough than anyone else they'll ever talk to about what you're going to do in the handling of the sale of their home. Now let's dive in to some really fun scripts. So one is that we believe that everyone in real estate should be dedicated to being a fiduciary, acting on behalf of our sellers. And we want to say that to them in a way, because we can't use the word fiduciary, because other than attorneys, they may not know what that means. So here's what we say. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, I just want to remind you, I am licensed by the province of, I am licensed by the province of, and then you put where your license is, to represent you in the sale of your home. And I will always place your interest above the interests of any other party, including my own. And I'm committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. See, that'll just set you above the crowd. Learn how to explain that. It gives you a sense of authority. You are licensed by the province, this higher authority, to not just to represent buyers and sellers, no, to represent you, make it personal to them in the sale of your home. And then you tell them what that means. I will always place your interests above the interests of any other party, including my own. Your interests are more important than my interests. And then you give them the triple. I'm committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. Powerful. Now, Linda McKissick said, Dave, you have to state the obvious in emotionally powerful ways. And I said, Linda, well, give me an example. And she said, well, here's what I say. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately, tomorrow morning, notify all the other realtors in the area. 1, that your home is on the market. 2, its best features, and why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. Would you like me to do that? Oh, Linda, yeah, would you do all that for us? That would be wonderful. Thank you. See? And others would go, well, Dave, it's the MLS. So what do you say? Well, we'll put it in the MLS, and then we'll put a sign in the yard, and then we'll really hope for the best. No. See, the MLS was created by realtors to make a platform that it was easier for sellers to sell on. Take credit for it, because it allows you to do exactly what it says. Let all the other realtors know that now this home's available and with its best features. You're going to promote it, and why they should bring their what? Qualified buyers to see it. So practice this one. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately, tomorrow morning, notify all the other realtors in the area. 1, that it's on the market. 2, its best features, and why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. Would you like me to do that? Yeah, happy to. Now, here's a great one from Althea Osborne. Althea Osborne was the #1 agent with Gary Keller for years and years, the #1 agent of all agents with no matter what company in Austin for many, many years, one of our icons in Keller Williams. And she went out and worked with tech companies. And she would go to tech companies and she would build the relationship, and then they would list with her, and their people coming into town would list with her. And then she said, eventually they got up where I'm now representing them for $1 million homes. And she said, but they always ask me, Dave, where are you going to advertise our home? Althea, where are you going to advertise our home? And she said, I have to get clear with them. And here's what she said. Jim, let me educate you about how real estate really works. See, ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And as your agent, I will never waste your money. And I certainly wouldn't waste my own. See, that's magic. Exactly. Well, Dave, she's just talking about co-broking. Of course she is. But I was in the industry back when a lot of brokers didn't co-broke. The only way you could get to that listing was through them. But we've matured as an industry, and now we have an MLS and boards of realtors and ethics, and we have a standard of doing commission sharing, co-broking. But it's still your commission, and you still are giving up half of it. So take credit for that, and it really gets them to the idea that advertising isn't necessary. It doesn't cause a home to sell. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me educate you about how real estate really works. Ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And here's the kicker. And as your agent, I will never waste your money. And I certainly wouldn't waste my own. In other words, whether they think that commission is their money or yours, you're not going to waste it. This is powerful. It's brilliant. Master it. Just like this, it's poetry. Now, the other is you got to be able to talk about, I remember in the early days, Ron, and that, people would say, well, I'd love to list with you, but I've never heard of this company you're with. What is it? Keller? Oh, Keller Williams. Yeah, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the newest, most innovative fastest growing real estate company in North America and right here in Canada, which is why we're excited about being here with it. See, that's how we used to say it in the days when no one ever heard of Keller Williams. Now we are the dominant company, so it's a different thing, but you still say it with pride. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the largest, most innovative, and highly respected real estate company in the world. And then you kick it with your relationship. And I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. And more important than that, I am empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. See, powerful. And that is the truth in Keller Williams. Our agents are partners and they get to share in profits, profit share. They get to say in decisions through the ALC. And we really believe that an agent within the law and ethics can do whatever they want to serve their customers. That's what we believe. So say it, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. By the way, I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. And more important than that, though, I am empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. Powerful. Now, pricing is an issue, and those scripts are on chapter 7 and 8. Look it up, chapter 7 and 8 of the book Shift. We go into a big thing on pricing it right and staging it. And there's a lot of information and scripts there. I'm going to give you the summary of it. Number one is you never argue about it. So we need to get $900,000. Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the thing. I'm going to get you the highest possible price. Promise you that. We both are going to deal, though, with the fact of the market conditions that are there today. And the market is going to determine what our home sells for. See, there's two markets out there, remember. There's homes that are on the market that are overpriced and don't look very good, and they're not getting many showings and almost no offers. Then there's homes that are in the market. They're priced right, they look good, and they're not only getting offers, they're getting multiple offers. So my job as your agent is not just to list your home and put it on the market. I want to make sure that we are in the market. So that way we take advantage of that window of opportunity, because you see, we're going to get our best price in the first 10 days to 2 weeks of being on the market. And here's why. Because this window of opportunity exists when we come on the market, all the realtors and their current buyers come and look at us. And if we make a bad first impression, if we're overpriced or we have repair issues, they're gone and they won't be back. No. So we want to make a good first impression, because we will therefore then get our best possible price in that first 10 days to 2 weeks. And we certainly don't want to chase the market. Does that make sense? Great. Let's take a look at the numbers, right? So that's your approach on this. And there's a lot of scripts and dialogues about this. I've just kind of summarized it. You never get in an argument with them. And by the way, you never give the price ahead of getting the listing. Well, so what do you think we'll sell it for, Dave? I don't know. We'll have to sit down and decide what our pricing strategy is. No, I mean, just give me a number right now. And I go, well, I can't do that. I can't do that because it's not my decision. It's your decision. And I'm going to give you the right information to make sure that we get the most for your home. But that's part of what I do as a professional real estate agent. I'm not going to bid it ahead of time. Is that what other agents will say? They'll get you something, they'll give you a high price, and then they'll try and talk you down later, and they won't be able to get that price. I'm not going to do that. I don't tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what you need to hear. So that's part of my service. Are we ready to work together? We're going to get you the highest price. Are we ready to work together? See that difference? Do not give the price ahead of time because that's part of your service. Pricing is a property. It's not a bidding war. Okay. And then finally, commission. Dave, would you cut your commission? Now, by the way, I'm going to use an example here that uses 6% because that's in a lot of sellers' minds is 6%, maybe different in your market. By the way, commissions are always negotiable. They always have been negotiable. The actual average commission across North America is about 5.6, 5.7% total, buyer side, seller side. It varies by price. It varies by area. You know that. It's always negotiable. But I'm going to use this because it's illustrative of what happens to the commission that other people don't understand. So, Dave, would you cut your commission? You know what? I really respect you for asking that question because I know you want the best value for your family and you need to ask that. So I respect that. And by the way, I love this real estate business. There's days that I think I would do it for free, but I don't think my family would appreciate that. So let's talk about the commission. Many people don't understand what happens to the commission. So let me explain. First, half of it, 3%, goes to the company or agent that brings us a qualified buyer. So in a sense, that's not a commission, that's a marketing fee. Of the remaining 3%, 1/3 of it goes to this world-class company that I'm with, Keller Williams. And then another 1/3 goes to my 1%, goes to my business expenses, my technology, my marketing, my staffing. And so only 1% of it, only 1/3 of that actually goes to me and my family. And I'm sure that you know it would be wrong for me to cut that. Does that make sense? Are we okay? Yeah, let's move on. Now, by the way, never apologize for your commission, because I will tell you over time, this is a great deal. People who've tried to do it for less don't do a good job. They just don't, and they don't last. And so remember this, that because there's the combination of the real estate industry and its legal infrastructure and all of the ethics and all the things we do, and the co-broking and the accuracy of information and the listings in the MLS, and the role that the great company we're with that plays in our broker in assuring the client's rights are protected. So never apologize for the commission. It is a fair deal. And the other thing is, I know agents who go, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Saul, I just want you to know, I charge 1% more than the average agent. Average agent charges 5 to 6. I charge 7 because I know of my experience and my work with you, I'll get you a higher price. I charge 7. Is that okay with you? Oh yeah, Dave, that's okay. See, so be willing to assert that. All right. And one final thing we're going to close with right now, and then we'll open it up for questions and any comments that any of you want to make. Either chat them in now, chat in your questions if you have them, and Ron can ask them to me, or we'll work that out anyway. And be sure that you write me, dave@kw.com, dave@kw.com, and I will send you all these slides plus Dave's favorite scripts, a bunch of scripts that we didn't cover today. The Assertiveness Bill of Rights, and the Rudyard Kipling poem, right? We'll do all that. I'll do it within a day. You'll have it all within a day. I promise you that. Okay, so dave@kw.com. Now, let me just close with this. The most important sales presentation you will ever make is to yourself. It's called The Power of Self-Talk. Life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. As we talk to ourselves, so shall it be. So here's the way I want you to talk to yourself. I am in a challenging, skill-based profession. This is not easy to do, but I am mastering all the skills it takes to do this at a high level. And I'm like a professional athlete. I practice hard, I practice long, I practice often, because I am into competence and mastery. And as I'm doing that, I'm increasing my confidence, and that is coming through to people. It's making them want to feel my positive energy and work with me, to list with me. And the more I'm taking listings and sending out the just listed cards, and they're selling and sending out the just bought cards, just sold cards, then I'm building a local set of relationships, a reputation, and people are trusting me, and I am doing more and more business. And then that's freeing me up to do exactly what Gary Keller says, right? It's exactly what he says, and that is think big, aim high, and act bold. All right, Ron, we are back. So anyone can chat in a question, and we can go at that, or share an aha.
Dave, I'll just start while people are thinking. Guys, feel free to type your questions in there. I'm sure Dave will be happy to stick around for another 10 minutes or so if we have some
absolutely.
questions.
No, absolutely.
Or you can raise your hand as well if you'd rather do that. So please don't be shy. I just want to say thank you, Dave, and we appreciate your time today. That was absolutely incredible. I knew it would be, but to experience it in person was great. One question I would have for you would be, a lot of ahas today around the importance of presenting and speaking, and how obviously the effectiveness of our words. Is there a book that you've read or may suggest that we may not be familiar with that focuses a lot on presenting or speaking in that regard?
Well, I think there's the one I recommended, which is Words That Sell by Richard Bayan. I would get that as a resource, because just by reading that, you're going to get the feel, and you're going to actually build your own scripts, out of that. The
Yeah.
second one is there are 3 scripts catalogs in Keller Williams University, one for lead generation, one for sellers, one for buyers. Download a copy of that because that has a bunch in. Now it has a bunch, they're very thick. So there's a ton. You have to kind of sort through and say, which ones do I like better of that? If there were one book that is really good about the way you talk, both in a sales and a marketing way about your business, it's Jay Abraham's book. Jay Abraham, famous entrepreneurial author and coach, and it's called Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. Getting everything you can out of all you've got. And then there's one, and I'll tell you what, she may have copies of it. It's by Linda McKissick called Presentation Mastery. Because as I said, she said, Dave, everything in life is a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And she wrote a book, co-wrote it with an author who's a very established author, somebody, Jerry, I think Jerry was his last name. Linda McKissick wrote it, and I've looked it up on Amazon and I don't see it currently there. I'm going to try and check again. But I'm sure if somebody sent an email to Linda McKissick and said, hey, I would really like a copy of that book, that she probably has maybe, some, or she would know how you can get that. But I think those would be, to me, other than the Dale Carnegie course, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which really is about how to communicate effectively. To me, those would be the most important. Yeah, the ones
Thank you.
I've learned the most from.
Okay, great. So there's a couple questions in the chat box that we'll get to. So Tiffany, if you want to unmute yourself, you had a question for clients that forgot to get back to you. Go ahead.
Actually, this one is more about us as an agent forgetting to get back to a client. So I had an excellent meeting, just preparing to meet with a client and take her on a couple weeks ago, and completely forgot about her. And in your presentation earlier, Dave, by the way, hi. I'm just
Hi, how are
about
you?
it. I'm good.
How are you, Tiffany? Yeah.
I'm good, thank you.
And thank you for admitting your faux pas. Okay.
I won't even give an excuse because there isn't any. I just completely forgot about her and feel so awful. So you mentioned earlier in your presentation about you have a rule to commit, or you have what was it? You said
A commitment list.
A
commitment list. Just every time you say I'm going to get back to you, or you know you're going to follow up with somebody, then be sure you write their name down on that list. Yeah, and you do those before your to-dos.
Yeah, and I love that. So, and that's kind of what prompted me to ask this question. So I'm immediately, I'm like, I have to get to her today.
Yes.
And call her.
Yes.
And apologize.
No, don't apologize.
No.
See, no, this is important.
Okay.
I have a wonderful blog. You can go on davejenks.com under business wisdom and get it. It's just a blog post, and it says, apologies don't work, accountability does. So the minute we apologize, we sound weak, and it's as if we're asking their forgiveness, right? Which is usually what we are, but that's not taking ownership. So in your case, I would call back and say, what's her name?
Sierra.
Huh?
Sierra.
Sierra, you've been on my mind. And I know you're probably a little worried that it's taken me a while to get back with some details to you. So you notice, you're taking ownership. I know you're probably worried. So you're not apologizing. You're describing the truth. I know you are probably worried, but I've really been thinking about what we're going to do to get your home sold. So now's the perfect time. What would be a good time for us to get together and really get this underway? You hear that? So
Yes.
One of the things I learned from a guy by the name of Andy Allen, he said, Dave, every time you call somebody, they should feel better after you called than they were before you called. So he'll call somebody back with a deal that fell through and say, man, I've got good news. Those buyers were shaky. They were going to be trouble down the road. And fortunately, we've gotten them out of the way. And now we're open to get the right buyer for you. You hear that? It's very, he said, you always want to make them feel good about the call you made. Apologies never make them feel good. They never do. It doesn't even get what you want. It's not even, actually, in some ways, it's not even sincere. I'm just going to say that. Apologies are trying to get forgiveness, and just own up, right? So that's what I would do. I'd call her back, and then just give it the, man, you've been on my mind. You know, you've been on my mind. I think it's time that we really got this process started. What's a good time to meet?
Okay, great. Thank you.
You
very
okay with
much.
that?
Yes.
Yeah. No, go do it. And thank
Another
you for
question.
sharing that, because I think a lot of us do that. A lot of us as salespeople, and we're busy. So we'll be scrambling and we'll have things, and all of a sudden we'll have dropped a ball. Don't ever say I've been too busy or I've all been covered up or anything. It's just say, man, I've been thinking about you, and I'm concerned that you might be worried that I haven't gotten back to you fast enough. So how, you know, here I am. Are we ready to go? Whatever that is, it's okay to own it. Don't ask for forgiveness.
Awesome. A couple questions there about commission, Dave. Lynette asks, what would you say to individuals who are swayed to the discount brokerage because of commission? And then maybe if I could add a second part, what about if you're in an area where other listing agents are often listing for a discounted rate and you have buyers, but you're not getting paid your full commission? Anything you could cover on those?
Well, I think, you know, we're getting into the complexity of the sale. So first of all, understand that people do business with people they know and trust. So the biggest thing for you in lead generation is building your database, communicating it consistently, talking to them. And so in their case, they want to work with you. They trust you. They're not going to be, you know, in that sense, price shopping, right? Now, I think you always have to say, look, other people are willing to handle, to try and sell your home at a cheaper discount price. I can give you the names of a bunch of people that are going to do that. Here's the thing is, in my experience, they don't get you what you want. In my experience, they don't get you what you want, right? And so what I know is I do. And what the people I work with said, they are so glad. I've had people, and then it's good if you could even develop a story where somebody says, you know, I've got 3 people that I have worked with in the last 3 months who first listed with one of the discount brokers and are so glad they finally got to work with me. So develop that story. Now, it's really good not to lie. So I would recommend that you actually have that story, but share those amongst each other. If you have somebody that you worked with and they really are so grateful for the job you did, and they came from at first trying to do it with a discount broker or doing it on their own, either that's a different one for sale by owner, then share that story with each other. And then you can say, by the way, I want to tell you the story of Jim and Mary. Jim and Mary first went with a discount broker. Then they finally went with us. So you can say us if it's not you. And they are so glad they did. They said they realize that the quality of who you get is related to the price you pay. Mm-hmm. Something like that. So I think you want to do that. I think that the other thing you have to put up is you just have to say, look, there's some reason in the history of real estate that people that do it cheaper don't last. There's some reason for that. And I think it's that they don't build long-term trust. That's my guess. So you see how I'm doing very tentative? I'm not accusing anything, but I'm saying, you know, I think it's probably because they really don't get handled with the care and the attention. What I know, then you go back to you, what I know is that this is a fair price to deliver the quality of what I do. And my sellers would all tell you that same thing. Now just go back to what you do.
Awesome. It does. And I think I'm willing to bet too, Dave, the better you get at your communication and your presentation skills, like you've demonstrated today, that the less and less commission becomes an issue, right?
That's right. It doesn't, by the time you're at that point, they're not going to say, well, would you do it for less? Although some might, and then you heard my answer to that, you know, which is you don't get offended by it. You say, I honor your right to ask that question. And let me just, because a lot of them really misunderstand that you as the agent are going to get all of that 6% or whatever. And the point is you only get a small percentage of it. And once they understand that, they go, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
There's a question from Erica asks, how do you navigate sellers who want to wait until they found the perfect home before listing, but their offer will be conditional up against other offers that aren't conditional when they finally decide to offer? So in a hot seller's market,
Yeah.
someone's got a house to sell before they can buy, but yet they want to wait on listing theirs till they find the perfect home.
Well, I think here's the thing you say to them. Good. Let me handle both. Yeah, let me handle both. I agree with you. Let's do this. Let's get you in this position. By the way, we're not going to do a contingency. I'm going to try and talk you out of doing a contingency, because I'm going to tell you it's not necessary in this market. And also it will diminish the chance of you getting your offer accepted by a seller in this market. So my job in this market is to represent your interests as best as is possible. So I have your interest as a buyer combined with your interest as a seller. And as a buyer, I'm going to tell you, yeah, let's get you by the way, before the prices even go higher, let's get you in a home that you really want now. Then immediately, by the way, we'll be preparing your home to sell in this process. We'll be getting it cleared out. We'll be getting it upgraded. We'll be doing any of the things we would do to sell it. So this is good because it gives us this time to do this. And then the minute we know you have yours and your occupancy date is set, now we'll put yours on the market. And what you'll find is they'll probably end up closing at about the same time. And your move will be smooth. So anyway, I don't want to go on too much about that, but what you have to convince them is that you're not opposed to what they're doing. And if you handle both sides of it, then you can therefore make sure that this gets coordinated the way it needs to. And now you've got two sides of the sale.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Any other questions there, guys? A couple of some positive comments coming in. Fantastic session. Thanks.
It says, the thing you're dealing with in this idea when they're not offering as much to you as a person representing the buyer, then I think you've got a tough question, because what you want to do is you want to act in the best interest of your buyers. So I think that what you're going to do is you're going to help them, efficiently do their home search, and then you're going to be sure that agent that's offering that lower price isn't a bad reputation agent, because remember, they could make it hard on your buyer. You understand? And we want to say to them, look, one of the things that we have to be careful about in the home we buy is whether this transaction will be well handled. And sometimes by cheapening what they're paying for, the agent who's representing the seller will often not be as thorough and as detailed as those that I work with. So I just want to kind of, caution us about this. But otherwise, it's just maybe what you have to accept. If they really want that home and you trust that other agent and you can stay in control of things, then it's just less of a commission. Oh, well. Yeah.
So guys, that's the first of 5 opportunities we're going to get to spend with Dave over the next 6 months. So Dave, I think our next get together is Thursday, May 6th, I believe, same time.
Yep. Magic comes in threes.
You want to give us a 20-second pitch on what
Yeah,
that
let
one's
me
going
tell
to
you
cover?
this. It's a rework at looking at the fundamentals of real estate success. I mean, really, what is it? We hinted at some of them now, but now it's going to get at more details of that. Then it's really focusing in on 3 resources that are there that really need to drive your business. I mean, it's what I call the guide path of your business. And then the final element, which is probably the biggest element, is building your mental toughness. Because I think that this is a difficult business we're in, both for ourselves and our family. Managing our mindset, managing our attitude, dealing with our emotions is a constant battle. It just is. And overcoming anxiety and doubt and depression, and particularly for agents that are starting in their career, it's so easy to slide into anxiety and doubt. And one of the things that I want to do in this is really help build their mental toughness. And I'm going to share some stories about where I had to overcome cyclical depression, had to overcome alcoholism. We'll share with you a couple of interesting stories about Gary and Mo in the same regard. So that's what it'll be about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, guys. We'll get a link emailed out to everybody that was in attendance, so you can have the first opportunity to register for that. Before we finish up, Austin or Jerry, any final words or anything that you guys want to add?
I just want to thank David very much for being here today and for giving all kinds of good tips to our people.
Thank you, Jerry. And thank you for making the commitment to that. One of the things that was so critical in us, people said, why didn't Keller Williams grow faster at the beginning? And I said, because we had to find the players. And the players were the owner leaders who got our system, who really got it. And had, as I tell people in franchise systems orientation, if you get Keller Williams, you better know how to drive. This is a Ferrari. You better know how to drive, right? And so we had to find the drivers that could make this work. And fortunately, now we just have them and you guys represent them. So thank you for bringing me here, Jerry.
Dave, thank you so much for today. This has been, in my estimation, one of the best sessions in a very, very long time. We talk about being a training company.
Yes.
And the leaders on this call are always looking for the best people to give some training. And by no doubt, they got an hour and a half jam-packed of great information. Whether you're new to the industry or whether you're a seasoned veteran, I think that we could all go back out of this and sharpen our tools just a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I mean, I really appreciate that. Yep.
That was awesome.
Okay, thanks so much again, Dave. Thanks, guys, for being here. We'll see you in a month's time, if not sooner, and hope everybody has a wonderful Easter long weekend. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Happy Easter.